Today we will find out how realistic the ATTE Walker from Star Wars is, and whether it can exist in the real world. Fasten your seatbelts and subscribe for more Star Wars content. Nordy is here, and it's time to get started. At the dawn of Chancellor Palpatine's administration in 32 BBY, the Galactic Republic was a civilization with a long and storied history of peace, one maintained largely through diplomacy and the efforts of the Jedi Order. For generations, the Republic had operated without a standing army or navy, relying instead on the Jedi as peacekeepers and mediators. While the Jedi were formidable guardians of stability, they were not soldiers, nor were they equipped to lead large-scale military campaigns. This absence of a formal military structure was the result of a deliberate policy shift that began 1,000 years earlier at the conclusion of the New Sith Wars, circa 1000 BBY. The New Sith Wars, a cataclysmic series of conflicts between the Jedi and the Sith, left the galaxy in a state of exhaustion and disarray. When the Sith were finally believed to be eradicated, the Republic, eager to prevent another war of such devastating magnitude, initiated sweeping reforms aimed at disarmament. The Ruusan Reformation, a set of policies enacted in the wake of the Sith's apparent defeat, dismantled the Republic's centralized military forces. In their place, the Republic increasingly relied on the Jedi Order to maintain order, and on local planetary security forces to address more immediate regional concerns. Over time, the Republic's former military strength became a memory. The once mighty fleets of starships, divisions of troops, and war machines were decommissioned or repurposed, replaced by the belief that diplomacy, cooperation, and the Jedi's wisdom could resolve any threat. However, as centuries passed, cracks began to form in this idealistic vision. The growing influence of corporate interests, systemic corruption in the Galactic Senate, and widening economic disparities between the core worlds and the Outer Rim territories created a fertile breeding ground for unrest. The absence of a central military force left the Republic vulnerable. While core worlds enjoyed prosperity and stability, the Outer Rim descended into chaos, plagued by criminal syndicates, piracy, and growing resentment toward a government perceived as distant and ineffectual. The Republic's Senate became increasingly paralyzed by bureaucracy and corporate lobbying, further exacerbating tensions. Voices within the Senate began to call for the reinstatement of a Republic army and navy, but these proposals faced fierce opposition. Many senators and their constituencies feared that rearmament would lead to tyranny and a return to the militarism that had defined the Sith era. The debate over rearmament became a divisive issue in the Senate, stalling any meaningful action for decades. Those advocating for a military, often from the Outer Rim, argued that a standing force was essential for addressing the growing number of threats to galactic stability. Opponents, typically representing the core worlds, insisted that the Jedi Order was sufficient to maintain peace and that militarization would only provoke conflict. This impasse persisted as the galaxy edged closer to crisis. By 32 BBY, when Chancellor Palpatine ascended to power, the Republic's lack of a central military was increasingly seen as a liability rather than a virtue. The rise of corporate militaries, such as the droid armies maintained by the Trade Federation, further highlighted the Republic's inability to project power or enforce its laws in the Outer Rim. The starkest example of this vulnerability was the Naboo crisis, in which the Trade Federation's blockade of the planet went unanswered by the Republic due to its lack of armed forces. The Naboo crisis was a wake-up call. It underscored the growing power of separatist movements and the inadequacy of the Republic's reliance on Jedi peacekeeping alone. The Jedi Order, despite its skills and dedication, was too small and too stretched to effectively counter the myriad threats emerging across the galaxy. As political tensions mounted and separatist sentiment grew, whispers of war began to spread, fueled by the ambitious and secretive manipulations of Darth Sidious. This precarious situation set the stage for the secret creation of the Grand Army of the Republic, conceived in the shadows by Jedi Master Sifo Dyas and later co-opted by Sidious. The galaxy's descent into the Clone Wars was not a sudden event, but the culmination of centuries of disarmament, political stagnation, and growing unrest. The Republic, once a bastion of peace and unity, would soon be thrust into the most devastating conflict it had ever faced, with consequences that would echo for generations. As the Galactic Republic teetered on the brink of chaos, the secret commission of a clone army by Jedi Master Sifo Dyas set in motion a chain of events that would alter the galaxy's fate. While the clones themselves were engineered by the Kaminoans, the scale of the project required far more than just soldiers. The creation of an army capable of defending or waging war across the galaxy necessitated a vast infrastructure of weapons, vehicles, and support systems. This posed a unique challenge: how to procure the necessary equipment without alerting the Republic's Senate or its population to the army's existence. The Kaminoans, known for their meticulousness and discretion, took it upon themselves to quietly place orders with various manufacturing companies across the galaxy. By keeping these transactions shrouded in secrecy, they ensured that no single entity would see the full scope of the project. Each contract was framed as an isolated commission, often masked through intermediaries or presented as custom orders for planetary defense forces. This ensured that the production of military hardware remained undetected by both the Republic's authorities and the galaxy's wider populace. One of the most significant contracts went to Rothana Heavy Engineering, a subsidiary of Kuat Drive Yards, known for its advanced military technology. Rothana was tasked with designing and producing several key pieces of equipment for the clone army, including the now iconic All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, ATTE. To maintain secrecy, the Kaminoans arranged for Rothana's facilities to operate under extreme confidentiality, with production sites located in isolated regions and all communications heavily encrypted. The engineers and workers involved were either sworn to silence or misled about the true purpose of their creations, believing they were producing equipment for private buyers or unregistered planetary militias. The Kaminoans did not stop with Rothana. They spread their contracts across multiple sectors, commissioning weapons, vehicles, and starships from companies with little connection to one another. Factories on remote worlds, orbital shipyards in unregulated systems, and private workshops were all drawn into the web of secrecy. Components for ATTE walkers, low-altitude assault transports, LAATs, and other critical machinery were manufactured piecemeal and shipped to Kamino, where they were assembled under the Kaminoans' watchful eyes. This distributed approach ensured that no single supplier could piece together the true extent of the clone army's size or purpose. The Kaminoans' secrecy was further protected by their isolation. Located in the far reaches of the galaxy, Kamino was a world known only to a select few, its stormy oceans and hidden facilities shielding the massive military buildup from prying eyes. Even when shipments of parts and supplies began to arrive, they were carefully routed through uncharted hyperspace lanes and obscure systems, ensuring that the Republic's trade inspectors and intelligence agencies remained none the wiser. 12 years after Jedi Master Sifo Dyas secretly commissioned the clone army, the galaxy stood on the precipice of war. In that time, the Kaminoans' clandestine network of manufacturers had accomplished an extraordinary feat. Through the intricate web of contracts and the tireless efforts of companies like Rothana Heavy Engineering, vast quantities of military equipment were produced to equip the Republic's newly engineered army. By the time the galaxy became aware of this hidden force, the stockpiles of advanced weaponry and vehicles had grown to staggering proportions, ready to be unleashed in battle. Among the most prominent of these vehicles were the All-Terrain Tactical Enforcers, ATTES, massive six-legged armored tanks designed for the harsh realities of galactic warfare. Over the 12 years of secret production, Rothana Heavy Engineering and other subcontractors built hundreds of thousands of these walkers, ensuring that the clone army was not only highly trained, but also equipped with the most advanced and versatile tools of war. The ATTE's ability to traverse a variety of terrains and deliver heavy firepower made it a cornerstone of the Republic's military strategy. The production process was a monumental logistical achievement. Factories on distant worlds, from the icy facilities on Rothana to hidden manufacturing sites on uncharted planets, operated continuously under strict secrecy. Components for the ATTES were fabricated across the galaxy, then transported via concealed routes to assembly sites on Kamino and other remote locations. Each walker underwent rigorous testing to ensure reliability. as the Kaminoans demanded nothing less than perfection to match the disciplined precision of their clone soldiers. By the time the Clone Wars erupted in 22 BBY, the clone army was fully outfitted with this arsenal. When the war began, legions of clones marched into battle alongside squadrons of ATTEs, their presence a shock to both the Separatists and the galaxy at large. The Walkers formed the backbone of the Republic's ground forces, spearheading assaults on planets, storming enemy fortifications, and providing critical fire support in the heat of battle. The scale of the Republic's war machine was unparalleled. It wasn't just the quantity of ATTEs that astonished military observers, but also the sheer efficiency with which the vehicles were deployed. The Walkers appeared in engagements across the galaxy, from the Battle of Geonosis, where they crushed droid battalions under relentless fire, to countless other conflicts on worlds like Christophsis, Ryloth, and Felucia. Their dominance on the battlefield quickly became synonymous with the Republic's military resurgence. The secret buildup of this arsenal over the previous 12 years was nothing short of miraculous, though few could have imagined the full extent of its implications. What began as an effort to prepare for a looming threat had culminated in a galaxy-wide conflict, with the ATTE tanks and their clone operators at the forefront of a war that would reshape the galaxy forever. The ATTE, All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, was heavily armed and built to serve as a versatile and formidable ground combat vehicle. Its weapon systems were designed to provide both devastating firepower and comprehensive defensive capabilities, making it a cornerstone of the Grand Army of the Republic's armored divisions. The combination of its weapons allowed it to engage a variety of targets, from fortified positions to infantry and light vehicles, ensuring its effectiveness in a range of combat scenarios. The Firefont 04 mass driver cannon, mounted on the central dorsal section of the Walker, was the ATTE's largest and most powerful weapon. This heavy artillery piece was capable of delivering devastating blows to enemy fortifications, armored vehicles, and entrenched forces. The mass driver cannon was highly versatile, capable of firing both solid projectiles and energy-based ammunition, depending on the requirements of the mission. Its payloads included a range of specialized munitions, such as burrowing bunker busters designed to penetrate deep into enemy strongholds, heat-seeking projectiles for precision targeting, and sonic charges capable of disrupting enemy formations with powerful concussive blasts. While the mass driver cannon offered immense destructive potential, it came with certain limitations. Its rate of fire was comparatively slow due to the time needed to load and aim each shot, making it less effective against rapidly moving targets or large waves of infantry. Additionally, its accuracy could vary depending on terrain and the skill of the gunner, requiring precise adjustments to ensure optimal effectiveness. Despite these drawbacks, the mass driver cannon's long range and adaptability made it a critical asset in siege and defensive operations, as well as in open battle. Complementing the mass driver cannon were 6 Mod 21 heavy laser cannon turrets, which provided the ATTE with enhanced flexibility and coverage. 4 of these turrets were arranged in a square pattern around the cockpit, offering broad forward and lateral fields of fire. These laser cannons were designed for targeting smaller, more agile enemy units, such as infantry and light vehicles, compensating for the slower firing speed of the mass driver cannon. The precise placement of these turrets ensured that the ATTE could maintain consistent offensive pressure while protecting its vulnerable front and flanks. 2 additional laser cannons were positioned at the rear of the Walker, covering its flanks and providing essential protection during troop deployments or retreat operations. These rear-mounted cannons were crucial for securing drop-off points for the platoons carried within the ATTE, ensuring that enemy forces could not easily flank or ambush the Walker during critical moments. The integration of these 6 laser cannons was vital for the ATTE's ability to handle infantry threats, especially when its primary cannon was engaged with larger or more distant targets. However, the effectiveness of the ATTE in close-quarters combat often relied on the troopers deployed from within the Walker, as enemy infantry could exploit blind spots or approach too closely to be effectively targeted by the Walker's weapons. The combination of the Firefont 04 mass driver cannon and the Mod 21 heavy laser cannon turrets made the ATTE a well-rounded and highly effective combat vehicle. Its weapons were designed not only to deliver overwhelming firepower, but also to ensure the survivability of the Walker and its crew in complex and dynamic battlefield conditions. Whether breaking through enemy defenses, supporting ground troops, or holding strategic positions, the ATTE was a symbol of the Republic's technological and tactical superiority during the Clone Wars. The ATTE, All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, was a rugged and adaptable vehicle, engineered to endure the challenges of diverse environments and extended combat scenarios. Its design prioritized durability, versatility, and operational endurance, making it an invaluable asset for the Grand Army of the Republic during the Clone Wars. One of the Walker's most distinctive features was its maximum speed of 60 kilometers per hour, 37.2 miles per hour. While relatively slow compared to more nimble vehicles, this steady pace offered a critical advantage: the ability to penetrate enemy energy shields, a feat impossible for repulsor lift-based vehicles. This unique capability was instrumental during battles where shielded fortifications were a key obstacle, allowing the ATTE to act as a spearhead for advancing forces. The ATTE's engineering was specifically tailored for adaptability across a wide range of terrains and environments. Its robust multi-leg design enabled it to traverse rugged landscapes, dense forests, arid deserts, and even icy tundras. Certain models were capable of scaling vertical cliffs, employing advanced climbing mechanisms similar to those later integrated into the UTAT transport. This ability extended the operational scope of the Walker, allowing it to access areas that were otherwise unreachable for most ground vehicles. The ATTE's electromagnetic shielding was another defining feature, rendering it impervious to ion weaponry, which could otherwise disable most vehicles in its class. This shield was crucial in battles against the Separatist droid army, as many droid weapons relied on ion damage to neutralize Republic forces. This technological edge ensured that the ATTE could continue to function in the face of sophisticated enemy attacks, maintaining its effectiveness even in the most hostile conditions. Demonstrating its versatility, the ATTE proved its mettle in space combat during the Battle of Bothawui. In a daring maneuver, contingents of these walkers were deployed onto asteroids, ambushing a separatist fleet from unexpected vantage points. This unconventional use highlighted the walkers' adaptability and the ingenuity of Republic forces. The ATTE was also designed for endurance, with enough fuel reserves to travel 500 kilometers at maximum speed without refueling. This operational range was complemented by the Walker's ability to sustain its crew for extended periods. It carried sufficient scrubbed air and military rations to support its crew for up to 3 weeks in battlefield conditions. This self-sufficiency made it an ideal choice for prolonged campaigns or missions in remote and hostile environments. In every aspect of its design, the ATTE demonstrated a commitment to reliability and functionality. From its ability to penetrate energy shields and scale cliffs, to its resilience against ion attacks and utility in space combat, the Walker epitomized the tactical ingenuity of the Republic's military strategy. Its role in countless battles throughout the Clone Wars cemented its reputation as one of the most versatile and dependable vehicles in the Grand Army of the Republic. The ATTE, All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, was an imposing yet highly functional vehicle, meticulously designed to excel in a variety of combat scenarios and terrains. With a length of 13.2 meters, a width of 5.32 meters, and a height of 5.02 meters, its robust frame reflected its purpose as a mobile fortress, capable of enduring the rigors of prolonged engagements. The Walker's body consisted of 2 heavily armored halves, connected by a flexible concertina section. This section not only housed the power generators that fueled the Walker, but also served as a critical component for its mobility. The flexible design allowed the ATTE to navigate challenging and uneven terrain with ease, providing it with an unparalleled level of stability and adaptability in the field. This unique structural feature gave the ATTE a mobility advantage over other armored vehicles of its class, ensuring its operational effectiveness in diverse environments. Interestingly, the design of the ATTE was inspired by the Arctic horny whelmer, a resilient creature native to Rothana. Much like the hardy animal, the walker was built to endure extreme conditions, including harsh weather, rough terrain, and sustained enemy fire. This biological inspiration informed the vehicle's segmented body and its ability to remain steady and operational under duress. The concertina section played a vital role in the walker's ability to navigate treacherous landscapes, from rocky mountain passes to deep forest underbrush. It allowed the ATTE to pivot and adjust its body to maintain balance, even when one half of the walker was on uneven ground. This adaptability was essential for maintaining troop safety and ensuring that the vehicle could deploy its payload or support its passengers effectively in any scenario. The integration of biological principles into the ATTE's design highlighted the ingenuity of its engineers, who sought to create a vehicle that combined mechanical precision with natural resilience. This fusion of technology and inspiration from nature resulted in one of the most reliable and versatile walkers employed by the Grand Army of the Republic, further cementing its legacy as a cornerstone of Republic military operations. The ATTE, All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, was not only a formidable piece of military hardware, but also a mobile command and deployment unit, equipped to house soldiers and facilitate battlefield coordination. The rear internal compartment, while compact and somewhat cramped, was a critical space within the walker's design. This compartment was outfitted with computer consoles that served a variety of tactical and operational purposes. Among these systems was a holographic communication system, which allowed commanders to project life-sized or scaled holographic representations of themselves directly inside the vehicle. This technology ensured that ATTE crews remained in constant contact with their command structures, even in the midst of chaotic battlefields. Real-time strategic updates, orders, and coordination with other units were made possible, enhancing the walker's role as both an assault platform and a mobile command hub. Troop accommodations within the ATTE were divided between the forward and rear compartments. While the seating was utilitarian and the space was limited, the design was practical and efficient, prioritizing functionality over comfort. The rear compartment featured large doors that could swing open, allowing soldiers to deploy quickly and efficiently from the walker. This design element ensured that the ATTE could rapidly insert or extract troops in the heat of battle, providing essential support to infantry units. In addition to the rear doors, the walker also included a top hatch, which served multiple purposes. Soldiers could use this hatch to observe the battlefield from an elevated vantage point, providing situational awareness and facilitating coordination with other units. It also allowed for manual adjustments or direct interventions in situations where automated systems might fail. Despite its utilitarian focus, the ATTE was thoughtfully designed to balance its offensive and defensive capabilities with its role as a troop carrier and command vehicle. Its integration of advanced communication systems, efficient troop deployment features, and observational tools made it an indispensable asset to the Grand Army of the Republic, capable of turning the tide of battles with its versatility and reliability. Despite its reputation as a robust and heavily armored combat platform, the ATTE, All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, was not without vulnerabilities. Its design, while effective in many scenarios, left certain critical weak points exposed, which enemy forces were quick to exploit during the Clone Wars. The underbelly of the ATTE, while heavily armored in most other areas, was a significant weakness. A direct hit from a rocket fired by a Hailfire droid, known for its precision and firepower, was often enough to disable or destroy the walker entirely. This vulnerability was especially problematic when facing separatist forces that employed such high-impact ordnance. Another critical shortcoming of the ATTE was its susceptibility to aerial attacks. The walker's high silhouette, while useful for providing a commanding field of view, made it an easier target for enemy aircraft and bombers. Its defensive systems were optimized for ground engagements, leaving it reliant on supporting anti-aircraft units to counter airborne threats. One of the walker's most glaring design flaws was its low ground clearance, which exposed it to mines and other explosive devices planted beneath its path. Such devices could incapacitate the walker by targeting its vulnerable underside, rendering it immobile and vulnerable to follow-up attacks. Additionally, the turret gunner, positioned to defend against threats to the vehicle's underside, often faced challenges due to limited protection and restricted firing arcs, further exacerbating the issue. While these weaknesses were significant, The lessons learned from the ATTE's design were instrumental in the development of later Imperial models, such as the AT-AT Walker. The AT-AT featured improved ground clearance, thicker belly armor, and a more comprehensive defense system, addressing many of the shortcomings that plagued the ATTE. Despite its vulnerabilities, the ATTE remained a cornerstone of Republic ground forces due to its versatility, reliability, and adaptability in various combat scenarios. Its production in mech factories ensured a steady supply of these walkers to support the Grand Army of the Republic throughout the Clone Wars, solidifying its legacy as a pivotal asset in galactic warfare. The All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, ATTE, was one of the most iconic and strategically valuable ground vehicles of the Clone Wars, embodying the Republic's military ingenuity and operational effectiveness. Its development, design, construction, crew operations, and battlefield performance painted a vivid picture of technological progress and the enduring determination of the Galactic Republic during a time of galactic upheaval. The ATTE, developed by Rothana Heavy Engineering, was introduced as part of the Republic's preparation for large-scale military operations. Standing at an imposing 5.02 meters in height, 13.2 meters in length, and 5.32 meters in width, the Walker was a robust and versatile vehicle engineered to dominate battlefields across a variety of terrains. Its segmented, dual-armored hull was divided into forward and rear sections, linked by a flexible concertina joint housing the vehicle's power generators. This design granted the Walker remarkable adaptability, mimicking the biological movement of the Arctic horny whelmer, a hardy creature native to Rothana. The six-legged propulsion system of the ATTE was a marvel of engineering. Powered by high-torque hydraulics, the legs enabled the Walker to traverse rugged landscapes, ascend steep inclines, and even scale vertical surfaces when necessary. Magnetic clamps on the Walker's feet ensured stability and traction on unstable terrain or metallic surfaces, allowing the ATTE to operate effectively in unconventional combat scenarios, including space missions. Despite its lumbering appearance and modest maximum speed of 60 kilometers per hour, 37.2 miles per hour, the Walker's steady gait and shield-penetrating capabilities made it an indispensable asset on the battlefield. The interior of the ATTE was functional and Spartan, designed with utility rather than comfort in mind. The forward compartment housed the pilot and co-pilot spotter, who were responsible for maneuvering the Walker and relaying tactical data, respectively. Advanced sensor stations and targeting systems provided real-time battlefield intelligence, while holographic communication arrays allowed commanders to coordinate with other units. The rear compartment, though cramped, served as a troop bay, accommodating a platoon of clone troopers who relied on the Walker for transport, protection, and fire support. This section also housed computer consoles and an IM-6 medical droid for emergency care. The ATTE's armament was a defining feature of its design, showcasing a balance of offensive and defensive capabilities. Its primary weapon, the Firefont 04 mass driver cannon, was mounted atop the Walker and served as its most destructive asset. This heavy weapon could be loaded with a variety of payloads, including bunker-busting projectiles, heat-seeking missiles, and sonic charges. These versatile munitions allowed the Walker to engage fortifications, armored vehicles, and entrenched enemy positions with devastating effect. However, the cannon's slow rate of fire and the partial exposure of its operator to enemy fire were notable vulnerabilities. Supporting the mass driver cannon were 6 Mod 21 heavy laser cannon turrets, strategically positioned to provide comprehensive coverage. 4 turrets surrounded the cockpit, defending the Walker's front and flanks, while 2 additional turrets were placed at the rear to counter ambushes and secure drop zones. These weapons excelled at eliminating infantry and light vehicles, though their effectiveness against heavily armored targets was limited. Together, these systems made the ATTE a formidable force on the battlefield, capable of both spearheading assaults and holding critical defensive positions. The operation of an ATTE required a highly coordinated crew of 7 to 8 members, each fulfilling a specialized role. The commander, often a lieutenant or captain, directed all aspects of the Walker's operations, from navigation to combat engagement. The pilot controlled the vehicle's movement, while the co-pilot spotter utilized advanced sensors to identify targets, and relay vital information to the gunners. 4 gunners operated the laser turrets, 2 in the forward section and 2 in the rear, ensuring all-around defensive coverage. The turret gunner, positioned atop the walker to operate the mass driver cannon, faced significant exposure to enemy fire, but played a critical role in delivering devastating strikes. Life aboard the ATTE was a testament to the resilience and discipline of its crew. Soldiers adhered to rigid schedules, working in shifts to ensure the walker remained operational at all times. The cramped quarters offered little comfort, but camaraderie among the crew helped alleviate the hardships of prolonged deployments. Maintenance tasks, tactical drills, and occasional rest periods filled the hours between combat missions. Despite the harsh conditions, the ATTE was more than just a vehicle. It was a mobile stronghold that provided its occupants with a sense of security amidst the chaos of war. On the battlefield, the ATTE proved its worth in numerous engagements. It was instrumental in major campaigns such as the Battle of Geonosis, where it spearheaded Republic forces against entrenched separatist defenses. Its ability to traverse harsh environments and bypass energy shields gave it a unique tactical edge. Notably, during the Battle of Bothawui, ATTEs were deployed onto asteroids to ambush a separatist fleet, demonstrating their versatility in space combat. Despite its many strengths, the ATTE was not without its weaknesses. Its low ground clearance made it vulnerable to mines and explosive traps, while its exposed underbelly was a critical weak point that could be exploited by precision strikes. The walker's high silhouette also made it an easy target for enemy artillery and aerial assaults. These vulnerabilities underscored the importance of coordinated infantry support and strategic positioning to mitigate risks. The ATTE's legacy extended far beyond the Clone Wars, influencing the design of future Imperial walkers, including the all-terrain armored transport AT-AT. While the AT-AT addressed many of its predecessors' flaws, the ATTE remained a symbol of the Republic's strength, resilience, and commitment to defending freedom in the galaxy. For the clones and officers who served aboard, the ATTE was more than a machine. It was a lifeline and a symbol of their mission to restore peace and order. Its enduring impact on military history serves as a testament to the ingenuity and determination of those who designed, built, and operated this iconic war machine. The All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, ATTE, was not only a formidable combat machine, but also a highly versatile transport capable of carrying a substantial number of passengers and cargo. Designed to serve a dual role as both a heavily armed assault vehicle and a troop transport, the ATTE was engineered to support large-scale operations, providing strategic mobility for clone troopers during crucial engagements. The standard configuration of the ATTE allowed it to carry 20 clone troopers, with 10 troopers in each of the 2 primary sections, the forward and rear compartments. These sections were designed to accommodate squads of infantry, providing essential support during both offensive and defensive operations. To ensure the comfort and safety of the passengers, the walker was equipped with acceleration compensators beneath the troopers' seats, which helped to counteract the intense G-forces generated during movement and combat. Seat restraints were also provided as a backup system to secure the troopers in case of any mechanical failure or sudden maneuvers, ensuring that they remained in place during the walker's movements through rugged terrain or under heavy fire. In addition to transporting infantry, the ATTE was capable of carrying significant amounts of cargo, with a total cargo capacity of 40 tons. This allowed the walker to carry supplies, equipment, and ammunition to sustain long-term operations on the battlefield. Some variants of the ATTE were equipped with specialized rear compartments to accommodate additional vehicles, such as the All-Terrain Reconnaissance Transport, ATRT. These smaller, more agile vehicles were often deployed from the rear hold to carry out reconnaissance missions or provide additional support for the infantry in the field. This added mobility gave the ATTE greater flexibility in combat scenarios, allowing it to perform various roles as the situation demanded. Other configurations of the ATTE featured a command center in the rear compartment, transforming the walker into a mobile headquarters. This variant was especially useful during large-scale battles, where the ability to command and coordinate operations directly from the battlefield was crucial. The command center allowed for the real-time processing of tactical information, enabling commanders to make informed decisions and issue orders promptly, all while staying on the move. This versatility was a key aspect of the ATTE's role in the Clone Wars, providing a highly adaptable platform that could shift between troop transport, heavy assault vehicle, and command post as needed. Whether serving as a transport for clone troopers or a mobile command center, the ATTE remained a highly reliable and strategic asset in the Galactic Republic's military arsenal. Its ability to carry large numbers of troops and support vehicles, along with its heavy armament, made it an essential part of many ground operations throughout the Clone Wars. The ATTE's legacy as a multi-role vehicle highlights its importance not just as a weapon of war, but as a critical piece of logistical support in the Republic's efforts to maintain order and control across the galaxy. The all-terrain tactical enforcer ATTE had several variant models designed to meet specific operational requirements during the Clone Wars. One such modification involved adapting the rear compartment of the walker to carry additional vehicles, significantly enhancing the mobility and versatility of the unit on the battlefield. In this variant, the rear section of the ATTE was reconfigured to house all-terrain reconnaissance transports ATRT, which were smaller, more agile walkers used for reconnaissance and light combat. The modification allowed for 2 ATRT walkers to be stored in a compact configuration within the rear compartment of the ATTE. The ATRTs were secured in place during transport, and the rear compartment was equipped with a lowering platform that allowed the ATRTs to be deployed quickly onto the battlefield. Once the ATRTs were lowered to the ground, their legs would unfold, and they could be rapidly mobilized, ready to engage in combat or perform reconnaissance tasks. This configuration was particularly useful during large-scale battles, as it enabled the ATTE to not only provide heavy fire support and troop transport capabilities, but also quickly deploy reconnaissance and fast response units, all from the same vehicle. The added mobility and tactical flexibility provided by this variant were essential in engagements where rapid responses were critical. In addition to this modification, some ATTEs were adapted into command vehicles, allowing commanders to oversee battle operations from within the safety of the walker. Commander Pons, for instance, was stationed in a command-modified ATTE, where he was able to coordinate troops and provide direct orders to the various divisions of clone troopers on the battlefield. The command variant of the ATTE typically included additional communications equipment, holographic projectors, and extra seating for officers, making it a vital asset for strategic planning and battlefield command. This modularity and adaptability in the ATTE's design made it one of the most versatile vehicles in the Galactic Republic's arsenal, able to serve a variety of roles from frontline combat to logistical support and command coordination. Each variant of the ATTE was carefully designed to fulfill a specific purpose, ensuring that the walker could meet the ever-evolving needs of the clone army during the prolonged conflict of the Clone Wars. Another significant variant of the ATTE was designed to house a mobile command center, providing a mobile base of operations for high-ranking officers during field operations. This modification allowed the ATTE to function similarly to the later PX-4 mobile command base, but with the added benefit of being more versatile in terms of mobility and battlefield deployment. The command center variant was equipped with advanced communication systems, holographic projectors, and additional command consoles, enabling commanders to coordinate the movements of entire columns of other ATTEs and supporting units in real time. This variant played a critical role in large-scale battles, where centralized command and coordination were essential for the success of complex tactical maneuvers. The ATTE Mobile Command Center could be deployed directly onto the battlefield, providing immediate logistical and strategic support, all while remaining highly protected by the walker's heavy armor. This ensured that the command staff could operate securely in the midst of combat, directing clone forces with minimal risk. As the Clone Wars progressed, Rothana Heavy Engineering continued to modify and produce additional models of the ATTE to meet evolving battlefield needs. These variants incorporated various improvements, including more powerful weapon systems, better armor, and more sophisticated targeting and communications technology. Some of these models were produced with heavy modifications, effectively transforming the ATTE into a more heavily armored and armed variant known as the Heavy All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, HATTE. These upgrades allowed the ATTE to better withstand enemy fire and provide more powerful support during engagements with heavily fortified targets or large enemy formations. stock ATTES were capable of being upgraded to HATTES, providing additional firepower and protection without the need for entirely new vehicle designs. These upgrades were a testament to the ATTE's modular design, allowing for continuous improvement and adaptation to the ever-changing demands of the battlefield. Overall, the continued evolution of the ATTE throughout the Clone Wars exemplified its critical role as a versatile and adaptable combat vehicle. Whether serving as a transport, command center, or heavy support unit, the ATTE remained a cornerstone of the Clone Army's ground forces, capable of fulfilling a variety of roles and maintaining a high degree of effectiveness across different environments and operational scenarios. During the reign of the Galactic Empire, some ATTEs underwent modifications to better suit the needs of Imperial ground operations. These modifications, commonly referred to as imperializations, involved alterations to the walker's armor and weaponry, often in response to specific tactical requirements. One notable modification involved the removal of parts of the ATTE's rear side armor. This change was implemented to allow embarked troopers greater flexibility to fire at enemies approaching from the sides, enhancing the vehicle's lateral defense and allowing infantry to engage targets more effectively without disembarking. However, this alteration came with a trade-off. The removal of rear armor weakened the ATTE's defenses against close-range explosives, making it more vulnerable to grenades, rocket launchers, and other short-range weaponry. While this modification was useful in certain combat situations, it exposed the vehicle to greater risk, particularly when engaged in urban environments or open-field skirmishes, where enemies could exploit this vulnerability. In addition to armor modifications, some Imperial ATTEs saw significant reductions in their offensive capabilities. Many of these walkers had their top armor removed, along with the projectile cannon and other offensive weaponry. These changes were designed to transform the ATTE into a more efficient transport vehicle capable of carrying large amounts of cargo or personnel. This conversion allowed the ATTE to serve in logistical and supply roles, transporting heavy equipment, supplies, and troops across various terrains. The loss of heavy armament meant the Imperial ATTEs were more vulnerable in direct combat, but their role in support and supply chains became essential for maintaining the operational effectiveness of the Empire's ground forces. These modifications were part of the broader trend of adapting Republic-era vehicles for the more authoritarian and militarized purposes of the Galactic Empire. While the ATTE's original design focused on heavy assault capabilities, the Empire's operational priorities often required more flexible and cost-effective solutions. The Imperial ATTE continued to serve in a variety of roles throughout the Empire's reign, from troop transport to logistical support, while still retaining much of its durability and mobility on the battlefield. The All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, ATTE, was developed by Quat Drive Yards and Rothana Heavy Engineering to meet the evolving needs of the Galactic Republic during the Clone Wars. As a versatile and powerful combat walker, the ATTE was a product of extensive design and engineering, with a focus on modular production to ensure that it could be quickly adapted to different battlefield conditions and roles. The development of the ATTE was a collaborative effort between these two manufacturers, each bringing their expertise to the table. Quat Drive Yards, known for producing some of the most advanced and reliable military vehicles in the galaxy, contributed its knowledge of large-scale manufacturing and cutting-edge technology, while Rothana Heavy Engineering specialized in designing and building military vehicles that could endure the harshest conditions and provide maximum operational flexibility. The ATTE's design was centered around a durable and adaptable chassis, capable of housing a variety of weapon systems, crew compartments, and cargo spaces. The modularity of the walker was one of its defining features, allowing for quick customization depending on the specific mission at hand. This adaptability made it an invaluable asset for the Galactic Republic's military, as it could easily transition from a heavy assault vehicle to a troop transport or command center. The construction of the ATTE involved a complex process of assembly, utilizing the latest technologies in modular production and assembly line techniques. Its design allowed for various components to be produced separately and then assembled at large shipyards and mechanized factories, significantly speeding up the production timeline. The modular nature of the ATTE also made maintenance and repairs more efficient, as individual parts could be replaced or upgraded without requiring a complete overhaul of the vehicle. In the production process, the logistics of ensuring the timely delivery of the various components were critical. These included the large legs, powerful mass driver cannons, and advanced communication systems. The sheer size and weight of the ATTE required significant resources to transport components from the manufacturing facilities to the assembly plants, where workers and technicians meticulously pieced together each walker. Employee work at the shipyards was labor-intensive, with highly trained workers required to handle the complex assembly processes. The workers were divided into teams, each responsible for a specific aspect of the walker's construction, from the fabrication of the main body to the installation of weapons and the intricate systems that powered the ATTE's movements. The workforce operated in shifts to ensure that production met the high demand for these powerful walkers during the Clone Wars. The intensity of the war effort meant that many of these workers were on call at all hours, often working long shifts under the pressure of deadlines to supply the military with the needed walkers. The cost of the ATTE was significant, priced at 100,000 credits, reflecting its advanced technology, heavy weaponry, and rugged design. Despite its high cost, the walker's versatility and effectiveness in combat made it a worthwhile investment for the Republic. The ATTE's production not only supported the war effort on the front lines, but also contributed to the economic stability of the manufacturing companies involved, such as Kuat Drive Yards and Rothana Heavy Engineering, which continued to receive contracts for the construction of these walkers throughout the war. The success of the ATTE was a testament to the effective collaboration between the manufacturers, the dedication of the workers at the shipyards, and the strategic foresight of the military planners who recognized the need for such a versatile and robust vehicle in the face of the escalating conflict, participating in numerous key battles and operations across the galaxy. One significant instance of the ATTE's involvement was during the conquest of Kalar, a campaign in which General Depa Balaba's clone forces engaged a battalion of battle droids. The ATTEs deployed by the Republic fought fiercely against the droid forces, but despite their heavy firepower and tactical advantage, at least one ATTE was taken out by fire from Armored Assault Tank Mark Wiz, a testament to the ongoing technological arms race between the Republic and the Separatists during the war. One of the most poignant and tragic uses of the ATTE came during the execution of Order 66, the directive that led to the systematic extermination of the Jedi Order. Clone Commander Cody, under the orders of Chancellor Palpatine, was tasked with betraying Jedi General Obi-Wan Kenobi. In the midst of the Battle of Utapau, Cody's chosen method of execution was a surprise attack using an ATTE, which allowed him to fire on Kenobi from a distance while the Jedi remained unaware of the impending betrayal. The attack was brutal and swift, but it failed to kill Kenobi. Instead, the blast from the ATTE knocked Kenobi into a body of water, giving him a chance to escape the clutches of the clones and evade certain death. This event marked a significant moment in the Clone Wars, as it demonstrated not only the efficiency of the ATTE as a weapon, but also the emotional and moral cost of the clones' forced betrayal of their Jedi commanders. Throughout the Clone Wars, the ATTE proved to be a versatile and durable weapon on the battlefield, capable of withstanding heavy fire and delivering devastating strikes against enemy forces. However, it also found itself caught in the tragic aftermath of the war's darker moments, like the execution of Order 66, which turned the ATTE from a symbol of the Republic's might to one of the instruments used in the Jedi's downfall. During the defense of Christophus, a division of ATTES was deployed to support the Republic's efforts in holding the strategic world against the Separatist forces. The initial engagement saw these walkers as the backbone of the Republic's defense, providing much-needed firepower and mobility against the droid armies of the Separatists. However, the division faced significant challenges early on, particularly when Slick, a clone trooper, betrayed his comrades by sabotaging the walkers. His actions led to the destruction of several ATTEs in the Republic's staging area, leaving the division with a critical deficit of 3 walkers before the battle even began. Despite the setbacks, the Republic forces pressed on, using the remaining ATTEs to hold the line against the Separatist onslaught. The walkers proved invaluable in the battle, delivering devastating fire against the approaching waves of droid forces. the first wave of Separatist battle droids was eventually repelled, but the Republic's remaining ATTEs suffered heavy damage, and many were destroyed in the ensuing conflict. By the time the second wave of Separatist forces arrived, the Republic's position had weakened significantly, with only a few remaining ATTEs still operational. The Republic's resilience paid off, as the battle ultimately swung in their favor. With the timely arrival of fresh reinforcements, including new ATTEs that were deployed to the planet, the Republic forces were able to recover and stabilize their position. The additional ATTEs bolstered the defense, enabling the Republic to fend off future Separatist assaults. The defense of Christophas would go down as a testament to the bravery and determination of the Republic's forces, even in the face of betrayal and heavy losses, and highlighted the critical role that the ATTE played in the Grand Army of the Republic's efforts during the Clone Wars. During the Liberation of Ryloth campaign, a significant number of ATTEs were deployed as part of the Republic's effort to free the Twi'lek people from Separatist control. The ATTEs played a pivotal role in General Mace Windu's push toward Lesu, the capital city of Ryloth, where the Separatist forces had entrenched themselves. However, the walkers soon found themselves under heavy fire from AATs, armored assault tanks, a formidable threat on the battlefield. The battle was intense, and 3 of the ATTEs were destroyed by concentrated fire from the AATs. Despite the setbacks, General Windu's forces pushed forward, and he managed to rescue one of the ATTE drivers, who had been trapped in the wreckage of their destroyed walker. In response to the AAT threat, Lightning Squad, an elite group of clone commandos, was deployed to neutralize the Separatist tanks. They swiftly took out the AATs, providing much-needed relief for the Republic's ATTEs and clearing the way for the advance. As Windu and his forces continued their push into Lesu, the remaining ATTEs provided vital fire support from a nearby ridge, overlooking the city. This allowed the Republic to maintain pressure on the Separatist forces, while also neutralizing any droid forces attempting to defend the city. After the liberation of Ryloth, the remaining ATTEs took part in a special victory parade, a symbolic event to celebrate the success of the Republic forces and the end of the Separatist occupation on the planet. The Walkers, which had served as a backbone to the ground forces throughout the campaign, were honored for their crucial role in securing the victory. This campaign highlighted the importance of the ATTEs in large-scale ground engagements, as well as their adaptability in different combat environments, from open battles to urban warfare. A number of heavy all-terrain tactical enforcers, ATTEs, were deployed during the defense of the energy refineries on Serapin. Unfortunately, they were unsuccessful in repelling the overwhelming Separatist forces that targeted the facilities. The ATTEs, although formidable on land, were outmatched by the superior firepower and numbers of the Separatist droid army, and they failed to secure the refineries, marking a significant setback for the Grand Army of the Republic in that region. In another unique use of the ATTEs, General Anakin Skywalker and Admiral Wolf Yularen found themselves in a difficult situation during an operation to rescue the guardian of the Kyber Crystal, Bola Ropal, who had been captured by the notorious bounty hunter Cad Bane in the Salyokami system. When it was determined that they had no boarding craft available to infiltrate Bane's ship, Skywalker came up with a creative and daring plan. He proposed using the ATTEs as makeshift landing craft, exploiting their zero-G capabilities and magnetic feet to board the enemy vessel. The ATTEs were deployed from the lower hangar of Skywalker's flagship, and using their magnetized feet, clasped onto the surface of Bane's ship, allowing the Republic forces to board it successfully. This unconventional use of the ATTEs showcased the versatility of these walkers, able to adapt to different combat situations, whether as powerful ground assault vehicles or, in this case, as boarding craft for high-risk operations in space. The ATTEs' ability to operate in zero-G environments proved invaluable in the pursuit of Bola Ropal, even though the rescue mission itself encountered challenges and ultimately required further action to succeed. During the Second Geonosian campaign, ATTEs played a crucial role in the Republic's fight against the Separatist forces. The Republic initially faced unexpectedly heavy anti-aircraft fire, forcing Commander Jet to issue a command for the ATTEs to be deployed quickly. He ordered Commander Cody to get the tanks down, and LAT-C dropships were tasked with delivering the ATTEs to the surface. The ATTEs were strategically deployed in a circle formation, with LAAT/I gunships filling the gaps between the walkers. This defensive formation created a stronghold that was much harder for the Separatists to break. From this position, the ATTEs were able to fight off wave after wave of AATs, armored assault tanks, and Geonosian forces. They provided vital support until reinforcements arrived, ensuring that the Republic's position was protected during a critical phase of the battle. One notable instance during the battle was when ATTE-636 provided cover fire for clone troopers Waxer and Boyle, who were on a mission to rescue General Obi-Wan Kenobi, who had been stranded after his gunship had been shot down. The Walkers' support allowed the troopers to safely extract Kenobi, underlining the versatile role of ATTEs, not only as frontline combat units, but also as critical backup in special operations. Later in the campaign, the ATTS were called upon to destroy a ray shield generator that was protecting Poggle the Lesser's new weapons factory. After successfully completing this mission, the Walkers were confronted by the new Separatist super tanks, a significantly more advanced and powerful threat than the traditional AATs. Unfortunately, despite their initial success in dealing with regular enemy forces, the ATTEs proved no match for the super tanks, marking a significant turning point in the battle. These new units demonstrated the evolving nature of Separatist tactics, and would later prove to be one of the primary challenges faced by the Republic during the war. During the First Battle of Felucia, ATTEs played a pivotal role in supporting Jedi Commander Ahsoka Tano and the Republic forces. At the start of the battle, 2 ATTEs were deployed alongside a Juggernaut that served as the command vehicle for Commander Tano. The ATTEs fought fiercely in support of the mission, but the battle turned dire as they came under heavy fire from Separatist forces. Both walkers were ultimately lost, marking a significant blow to the Republic's ground forces. However, despite the loss of the ATTEs, General Anakin Skywalker managed to rescue Tano and most of her men, ensuring that the Republic's leadership was preserved. Despite the setback, the Republic forces mounted a second assault on Felucia to drive the Separatists off the planet. During this renewed push, ATTEs were once again deployed, this time to provide vital fire support for the assaulting Republic forces. Positioned at a distance from the front lines, the ATTEs bombarded the droid camp, weakening the Separatist defenses and providing the Republic forces with the necessary advantage to advance. The ATTEs' heavy firepower was a key asset in this assault, allowing the Republic to continue its push against the Separatists, despite the earlier loss of the Walkers in the first phase of the battle. During the Galactic Civil War, surviving ATTEs were repurposed by the Empire for use in several campaigns, primarily in the Outer Rim territories. While the Walkers no longer held the primary role they once had in the Grand Army of the Republic during the Clone Wars, they remained a valuable asset for providing additional fire support in various conflicts. Often deployed alongside larger assault vehicles such as the AT-AT Walkers and Juggernaut tanks, the ATTEs added versatility and firepower to Imperial forces. Their ability to provide heavy ground fire and precise bombardment made them effective in dealing with both infantry and fortified positions. These walkers were particularly useful when Imperial forces were engaged in prolonged siege operations or faced guerrilla tactics by rebel forces, especially in the difficult terrain of the Outer Rim. While the ATTE was no longer the mainstay of the Empire's ground forces, it continued to serve as a formidable force on the battlefield, often providing the necessary support to turn the tide of battle in favor of the Empire. Some ATTEs were deployed to backwater worlds like Maradun and Jabim, where their role shifted from frontline combat to more logistical functions. On these planets, the walkers were not typically involved in direct engagements with enemy forces, but were instead utilized to support military operations through tasks like transporting supplies, maintaining security, and establishing perimeters in areas where more advanced military assets were not needed or available. In many cases, these walkers were adapted to fit specific mission roles and planetary environments. For example, modifications were made to their systems and equipment, allowing them to function effectively in the harsh conditions of remote worlds. This could involve upgrades to their environmental protection systems, terrain mobility, and resource gathering capabilities, ensuring they could operate in diverse, often underdeveloped locations. However, ATTEs were still deployed for frontline combat on more remote, less technologically advanced worlds, such as those in the Atoan system. On these planets, where rebel forces might be weaker or less equipped to face such formidable vehicles, the ATTEs were used in more traditional combat roles, helping to maintain Imperial control over the region and suppress any insurgent activities. Despite their older design, their firepower and durability made them a significant presence on these distant battlefields. Around 18 BBY, following the rise of the Galactic Empire, numerous ATTEs were positioned outside the Imperial Inspectorate headquarters on Coruscant. These walkers stood as a symbol of the Empire's continued use of military hardware from the Clone Wars era, even as the Empire shifted away from relying on clones and towards a more conscripted Imperial army. The walkers were stationed to provide security and crowd control around the facility during a significant event involving the retirement of clone troopers. A trio of clone troopers, long-serving soldiers of the Republic, were forcibly retired from service, their loyalty and place in the Empire's evolving military structure now questioned as the galaxy moved into the New Order. The clones were escorted out of the facility by Captain Bragg, an Imperial officer tasked with overseeing the transition from the clone army to stormtroopers. Nearby, Clone Commando Crosshair, now part of the Imperial forces, observed the scene. This marked a critical moment in the lives of the clones, as the transition to the Empire's new structure brought with it both the loss of purpose and the erosion of the once strong bonds between them. Crosshair, having fully embraced his role within the Empire, departed for a mission off-world to Barton IV, leaving behind the remnants of the era he had once served in. The ATTEs remained stationed outside the headquarters, a reminder of the Empire's past and a foreboding presence in the capital, as the galaxy adjusted to the new order under Emperor Palpatine's rule. Following the liberation of Chorin City around 13 BBY, an ATTE was prominently featured in an Imperial parade through the streets, symbolizing the Empire's victory and dominance in the sector. The parade was led by Captain Tarl Sokoli, a key figure in the liberation of Chorin. Despite the Empire's growing grip on the galaxy, the ATTE served as a symbol of both the Empire's might and the Republic's past, a weapon of war now under Imperial control. During this parade, the ATTE came to a halt at Sokoli's command to meet Baylor Valance, a young boy who watched the procession. This interaction hinted at the complexities of post-war life, where former soldiers like Sokoli and others from the Clone Wars found themselves part of a galaxy trying to move beyond the conflict, even as the remnants of the war lingered in such scenes. 5 years after the end of the Clone Wars, the ATTEs, once symbols of the Republic's military might, could be found on the junkyard planet of Bracca. Along with other Republic war machines and ships, the ATTEs were dismantled and repurposed. This planet became a graveyard for the war-era machinery, where the Empire salvaged valuable parts from the old vehicles for use in new Imperial projects. The ATTEs were no longer active combat units, but had become relics of a past era, their parts scattered and their legacy fading as the Empire consolidated its power through new technologies and strategies. 15 years after the end of the Clone Wars, Captain Rex, along with Commanders Wolf and Gregor, had found refuge on the remote planet Selos. Living in a modified ATTE, the 3 former clones had adapted the vehicle to their new, peaceful lives in exile. The ATTE was a symbol of their past, yet it served as their home and means of defense against any Imperial threats that might cross their path. When the Imperial forces began to close in, with 3 AT-ATs deployed to the planet to hunt them down, Rex and his companions were forced to take action. The ATTE's mass driver cannon was their primary weapon, and it proved effective when, during a sandstorm, they destroyed one of the AT-ATs. However, Rex's strategy for dealing with the remaining 2 walkers was a direct assault. Despite the ATTE's superior firepower, the mass driver cannon was not capable of penetrating the AT-AT's heavily armored bodies, except for their vulnerable necks. Rex, knowing the limitations of their firepower, quickly adapted, leading a direct assault to give the rebels a chance to escape. Although they could not destroy the remaining AT-ATs outright, the ATTE's powerful cannon and strategic assault allowed the Lothal rebels to break free and avoid Imperial capture. This marked another chapter in the storied history of the ATTE, once a machine of war, now a relic used by the last remnants of the Grand Army of the Republic to fight the new threat of the Empire. The ATTE displayed remarkable durability during its final engagement with the ATATS on Selos. Despite taking multiple direct hits from the ATATs, the ATTE held up long enough for Commander Wolf to ram it into one of the walkers, providing a brief respite. However, this action caused the ATTE's cannon to be temporarily knocked out of commission. Thankfully, Gregor, with his technical expertise, managed to restore power to the weapon systems just in time for the rebels to return. With their timely intervention, the rebels hijacked one of the ATATs, giving Rex the opportunity to target and destroy the final walker by shooting directly into its neck. In a cruel twist of fate, the ATTE was ultimately destroyed when the ATAT collapsed on top of it, ending the tank's final battle in a blaze of fire and wreckage. Despite its destruction, the ATTE had played a crucial role in helping the rebels escape, and proved once again its adaptability, even in the hands of those who had once been enemies. Later, during the Galactic Civil War, Rebel Alliance mechanics repurposed several surviving ATTEs, modifying them into elite ATTEs. These modifications included thicker armor and upgraded weaponry, allowing the vehicles to serve as formidable assault platforms. These elite ATTEs played an important role in the Rebel Alliance's operations, including a notable deployment during the Imperial defense of the Kuat drive yards. Although the ATTE had originally been a tool of war for the Grand Army of the Republic, it would find new purpose in the Rebel Alliance's struggle against the Empire, showcasing its enduring legacy across eras of conflict. The ATTE, originally designed for large-scale battles and used primarily by the Galactic Republic, found its way into the hands of criminal gangs after the end of the Clone Wars. One notable instance involved a Wike gang operating out of the Shrilur spaceport. Through unknown means, the gang had managed to acquire one of the walkers, and they quickly put it to use in an illicit scheme, extorting payments from visiting spacers. The ATTE, with its formidable firepower and imposing presence, made the gang a feared force in the spaceport's vicinity. However, their reign of intimidation was short-lived. The gang's ATTE was eventually targeted by none other than Han Solo and his loyal co-pilot Chewbacca. The duo, notorious for their boldness and ingenuity, struck back against the criminal operation. Using a concussion missile, they destroyed the ATTE's back legs, rendering the massive walker immobile and severely damaging it. This daring act of sabotage not only crippled the gang's operation, but also became a tale that Solo would later recount when reviewing the Imperial military's field manual, specifically the Imperial Handbook, a commander's guide. This event marked one of the many instances where the ATTE, originally a symbol of the Republic's military might, was repurposed for use in the hands of those on the fringes of galactic society, only to face the wrath of the Rebel Alliance and their future leader, Han Solo. The ATTE's six-legged design is a key feature, providing it with impressive stability across rugged terrain. However, from a real-world engineering perspective, the six-legged walker presents a series of issues related to balance, mobility, and weight distribution. In theory, a six-legged vehicle like the ATTE could provide advantages over traditional wheeled or tracked vehicles in very rugged or uneven terrain. However, legged vehicles are inherently less efficient at moving across flat, hard surfaces due to their complexity in movement and the high energy demands of maintaining balance. The difficulty in achieving synchronized and stable movement across all six legs is a major hurdle for real-world implementation. While legged robots are being researched, they are nowhere near capable of carrying the massive weight of a battle walker and performing under the strain required in combat scenarios. The ATTE's 60 km/h speed is modest by military standards, but its massive size and weight would make it slow and vulnerable in an environment where speed and agility are crucial. A real-world equivalent would likely be restricted to very specific combat environments, such as rough terrain, where its advantages would be more evident. The ATTE is equipped with a variety of devastating weaponry, including anti-personnel laser cannons and a large mass driver cannon. Let's analyze these systems in the context of real-world technology. The concept of laser weapons has been explored in military circles, with the US Navy deploying prototypes of laser-based defense systems, like the LAWS laser weapon system. However, atmospheric conditions, power requirements, and heat dissipation problems make the implementation of powerful, reliable laser cannons, as seen in Star Wars, highly unlikely. In the ATTE, 6 laser cannons are spread around the vehicle to cover different angles, making it an ideal close defense weapon. In real life, however, laser weapons are still in the experimental phase, primarily focused on interception and countering threats like missiles or drones, rather than providing sustained ground combat support. The concept of mass drivers, essentially railguns, does exist in real-world research, with the US Navy testing electromagnetic railguns for ship-to-ship combat. These weapons fire projectiles at incredibly high velocities using electromagnetic forces rather than chemical propellants. However, a mass driver capable of firing massive projectiles in such a rapid and sustained manner, as seen on the ATTE, remains far from practical. The enormous recoil, the need for immense power to operate such a weapon, and the difficulty and accuracy make it unlikely that such a weapon could function efficiently on a large walking vehicle. Despite its impressive offensive capabilities, the ATTE's design has several inherent weaknesses that make it vulnerable in a realistic battlefield scenario. The large, imposing shape of the ATTE makes it an easy target. While it may be heavily armored, the height and width of the walker make it difficult to conceal or protect against aerial threats. Modern combat vehicles, such as tanks, aim to keep their profile low to reduce visibility and avoid targeting. The ATTE's vulnerability to aerial assault is an obvious flaw, as it lacks effective countermeasures against anti-aircraft weapons. The low clearance of the ATTE, particularly in comparison to other combat vehicles, makes it especially susceptible to landmines and anti-tank weapons that target the undercarriage. Modern vehicles mitigate this risk through specialized designs or countermeasures, but the ATTE would likely struggle to avoid such threats in an active combat environment. The ATTE requires a 7-person crew to operate effectively. In practice, this is an inefficient use of manpower for a vehicle of its size. With a pilot, spotter, gunners, and additional personnel for communication and medical support, the ATTE is heavily reliant on human resources to function. Real-world combat vehicles, such as tanks or helicopters, are designed to operate with smaller crews or are automated to increase efficiency and reduce the risks to personnel. Moreover, the ATTE's reliance on multiple operators each performing specialized tasks raises questions about the potential for coordination issues in high-pressure combat environments. The training and synchronization required for such a large crew to function effectively would be a significant challenge, especially under fire. The ATTE is described as having electromagnetic shielding and robust armor, but this concept is purely speculative. While modern military vehicles use composite armor and active protection systems, APS, the idea of electromagnetic shields capable of deflecting projectiles or energy-based weapons is far from reality. Such technology would require massive amounts of energy and intricate systems for power regulation and shield generation, none of which exist in practical military applications today. Additionally, while the ATTE's armor is said to be impervious to ion damage, the vehicle's size and bulk would make it easy to target from various angles. The walker's weak points, such as its underbelly and exposed turret gunners, would only increase its vulnerability on the battlefield. Modern tanks rely on a combination of thick armor and APS to survive in combat, and while the ATTE's armor may provide protection from small arms fire, its overall defensive capabilities would fall short against modern anti-tank missiles or artillery. While the ATTE's design is compelling in the Star Wars universe, its real-world feasibility is highly questionable. The combination of a 6-legged walker, massive size, complex weapon systems, and vulnerabilities to modern anti-vehicle weapons makes the ATTE an impractical choice for modern combat. Real-world combat vehicles have evolved to prioritize efficiency, speed, and survivability. The ATTE, with its slow movement, high profile, and reliance on numerous crew members, is more likely to be a target than an effective combat unit in a real-world setting. While legged vehicles are an exciting concept for specific environments, the technological hurdles of building something as large and complex as the ATTE would be monumental. The ATTE, while an iconic and formidable vehicle in Star Wars, would face significant obstacles in terms of both design and functionality in the real world. Its reliance on advanced technology, such as mass driver weapons and electromagnetic shields, places it firmly in the realm of science fiction. In addition, the practical issues of crew management, vulnerability to modern weaponry, and inefficiency in terms of mobility would prevent it from becoming a viable weapon in any real-world military force. While legged walkers and advanced artillery may become more commonplace in the future, the ATTE as we know it is likely to remain a purely fictional concept, even as military technology continues to advance.